Hello and welcome to the World We Live In podcast. I'm your host, Eric Patterson. Alongside me is my sister, Erin. Join us as we explore the amazing, mysterious aspects of our planet's cultures, history, and future trends. Howdy, howdy.
Howdy.
What's going on?
Well, I'm feeling good. I just ate a Belgian waffle
Oh, man.
at a weird time of day, so nothing's better.
Yeah, not the most ideal time of day for a Belgian waffle. But
No, I was like, are you guys still serving breakfast? She's like, all day, every day. And I was like, sold.
that's what you want, honestly. Yeah.
Just sounded good. So we're going to carb crash soon, but hopefully we can get through this before that happens.
Well, breakfast is breaking your fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did try to eat like one of those healthy freezer meals that's like only like 200 calories, which
Yeah.
I don't know why I always try to do that because I know it's the calories
Yes.
that are going to keep me full.
Yep.
And like I want them to be good calories, but
Yeah.
I'm like, no, this was like stupid.
Didn't do
like
it.
an hour later, I was like, that was a waste of like space in my stomach.
Yeah.
But so then I was like, well, I need something more. Some waffle, sausage. So we're good.
No, it's true though. I heard someone say that you need to either not eat anything in the morning and just drink like coffee or water,
Yeah.
or get like high protein, high calorie. So,
Yes.
Anyway, and I'd like to address the birds in my roof. I'll make it brief. I live in an apartment, and the pipe burst in the unit above me during the winter when it got cold. And
It was so cold, guys.
It was freezing, like below freezing. Pipe burst, water came down on the outside of my unit, so not in my unit. But anyway, the apartment complex brought contractors in to clean all the, wet stuff, make sure the mold doesn't grow, all that. So they did that, cleaned it out. However, they left a little hole on the outside of the building by my balcony. And a week or so ago, I don't go out there much, but I went out there and there's just bird shit everywhere. And I looked up and there's just a hole, the hole that they left, and there are birds in there now. And I sent a message to the maintenance people and was like, there are birds in this little hole that was left. Like, can you clear it out and clean it up? So the maintenance people came out and just put a giant piece of wood over the hole. Solve the issue. So now there are just birds running around above me, and if there were any weird pauses, it's probably because of that. Hopefully you can't hear them.
Yeah, I don't think so, but it's just funny when you hear like them scurry across the...
Well, I thought the people above me like got a dog or something.
Yeah.
And then I hear this chirping, and I was like, fucking hell, are you kidding me?
Uh-huh.
So, anyway.
Yeah, it does kind of sound like when a dog...
Yeah, it sounds like little feet.
Uh-huh.
It sounds like little feet on the floor,
Yeah.
but then you hear the chirping, and...
You're like, what the fuck is that?
It's not feet.
Yeah.
Well, it's feet, but not dog feet.
I saw this video of it was like a mom filming her kid.
Uh-huh.
This could have been the dad too, but it was like, my son got attacked by a hawk, and it was so funny.
Oh, jeez.
Did you see that?
No.
He was like riding his bike, and this hawk's like chasing him. Like it never touches him, but it's just like pursuing him.
Yeah.
And I was just talking to my friend the other day about how I got like chased is a strong word, but like scared out of a CVS by a goose back home.
Yeah.
And I was and they were all from like either here or like the Northeast, and I was like, yeah, we have like the geese police back where we're from. Like literally it looks like a cop car.
Yep.
But it's like border collies and like a man that just like lets them out and they run the geese away. Like it's so ratchet, but it was a real thing.
Yeah. Geese police, Midwesterners.
Yep.
They know about geese.
Yep.
They just eat and shit in the same spot.
Yeah.
And it's disgusting.
Especially in like like suburban areas,
Yeah.
they'll build like a little, what are those, like retention pond things?
Yeah. They'll hang out there.
Yeah, and they like all these homes back up to it, and it's just like chaos.
It just smells too.
It's not good.
Yeah, no, they're disgusting.
And they're just mean. I'm like, why are you
very
here?
territorial. Yeah.
But anyway, things that fly or like quack at me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want it.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm a big fan of cranes, the bird, because because they're very docile. Like they're there, they're big, but I think they don't like quack at you.
No.
They make obviously noises, but it's not like directed towards you.
Because I'm like, dude, I'm not in the sky flying
Yeah.
in your space, but you're down here.
That's
attacking
that's a very
me.
good point. Very good point. Yeah, I mean,
It's stupid.
Yeah.
And they're scary. They're very scary.
they are.
You can't control them. They're just flying, and you don't know.
Yeah, Flying V.
Yep.
Yep. Shout out Mighty Ducks. Great trilogy.
Yeah.
Great trilogy.
Absolutely.
Well, it's been I think been a while.
It's been. It's always been a while.
It's always been a while. It's usually a month.
Yeah.
It's usually a month. So I came across a clip of Graham Hancock on Joe Rogan. Popular episode. I'm sure some people have listened to it.
Yep.
But he was talking about how we've lost the knowledge of how to build pyramids. And I was like, yeah, I mean, no one builds a pyramid anymore. It's obviously skyscrapers, but which are very incredible feats in themselves,
Yes.
right, with modern technology. But yeah, there's like the art of building a pyramid is pretty much lost. I mean, no one knows. There's theories.
Right.
No one knows how the Egyptian pyramids are built. And so that got me thinking, like, and not only thinking, but like I've heard tons and tons of stories of there are pyramids all throughout the world. Like there are pyramids in China, some of which the Communist Party like just wipes under the rug, like decides to just say they never existed,
Right.
and they just let it like get overgrown with like grass.
Oh,
and
yeah.
no one takes care of it. There are pyramids in China. There are pyramids in Iran. There are obviously pyramids in Egypt. There's ziggurats, which are like a Middle Eastern version. Basically the same thing. Just a different design, pretty much the same thing. Obviously you have the Mayan pyramids. You have some in Nubia, which is Africa. You have Indonesia, Cambodia, Mexico. I know there are also some in like Serbia and like really weird locations. So, I mean, that begs the question, right? Of like, how did they all build the same thing?
Right.
And how did they figure out how to build them?
Yes. So, if you follow the Graham Hancock theories of like, there was a civilization equal to or more advanced than we are, then you can compare it to like the crazy tall buildings we see in the world today.
Yeah.
And like, they're in New York, they're in like
they're everywhere.
the Middle East.
Yeah.
They're all over the place. So, I mean, if that was that of that time,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's
Because they are equally as amazing when
They
you
are.
think about it.
Yeah,
So-
it's the same idea, right? If something were to happen today and an asteroid were to hit the Earth, like obviously our way of life, it would not be. When you wake up tomorrow, you would have no cell phone.
Right.
There would be nothing.
No.
Fast track 100 years from now, I'm dead, you're dead. The people that knew how to build skyscrapers are dead.
Right.
The technology we had to build skyscrapers is no longer achievable. That's completely forgotten.
Just
Similar
gone.
concept. Say there was obviously a flood in the distant past that wiped out a lot of the Earth.
Yeah. I actually was watching the newest Y-Files video.
Oh, nice.
And they were talking about if we would, like, survive the next catastrophic event or whatever. But in that, they were talking about the past ones. And I guess there were, like, 5 or 6 that they can pinpoint.
Yeah.
And one of them was this one. The what Graham Hancock talks about.
The with the Younger Dryas and then the Deluge.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they
Which I guess was one and the same.
I guess.
Yeah.
They happen every, like, some crazy amount of millions of years.
Yeah.
And you're just like... He's like, yeah, we're due for one.
You're just like, when?
Yeah.
Yeah, looking at your wrist.
All right.
When is this? Yeah, I mean, not to go down any other rabbit holes, but like I was looking into like weather modification technology and like that whole thing, and like I don't know. I'm more and more convinced that whoever, I don't know who, whether it's the military or governments, are manipulating the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I saw something about like how hurricanes like are changing paths that they shouldn't. And like meteorologists are like, what is going on? Like they have no idea. And so their predictions of them, and we make the joke like, oh, meteorologists are never right.
Yeah.
Or like they're only right a third of the time and like they can keep their job. But like honestly, maybe they're just getting fucked.
Yeah,
and they just actually are predicting things right. And
well, there's a weird one. I think it's in Senegal. There's a UN building in Senegal. And it's shaped like what a hurricane looks like on the radar. Wow. And all of the hurricanes originate right off the coast of Africa. Like that's where the weather patterns originate.
Yeah.
Check it out real quick. Yeah, it's this building. I don't know if it's a UN building or an African nations building. It's something like that.
Hurricane building.
I think it's in Senegal,
but I've seen this.
Yeah, but it's like it has this weird like shape that looks.
It is a UN building.
Yeah, that looks similar to what a radar picture of a hurricane looks like. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, and so that's where a lot of weather patterns originate that turn into hurricanes, and so they're like, some people are like, well, it's in plain sight. Like this is what they're doing. Like they're creating weather.
Wow.
So, yeah, I was just seeing something the other day about the birds. I was just seeing something the other day about the weirdness of Hurricane Katrina. And how no other hurricane that's been recorded has come up around and like hit that part of the Gulf of Mexico like it did. Like, 'cause New Orleans like sits right in the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah,
that's why it's such a huge port, because it can go to so many. And they were saying that nothing has ever like came in and just sat in the middle of the Gulf like that. And so I don't know.
Wild.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, to transition there. Some people believe this civilization that knew how to build pyramids and was highly advanced was the Atlanteans, the Atlantis, and that they were able to. Obviously, some of them survived, and they were able to go to different parts of the world and share this knowledge. Or I don't know, maybe the pyramids were left over from. Not all of them. Some of them were left over from the Atlantis time frame.
I think there are some that
are older.
Well,
like I know, they know when the Egyptian pyramids were built, roughly. I think.
Right.
But they don't know how old the Sphinx is.
How do they not know?
What was that other guy's name? He's been on Rogan once or twice.
Is he always with Graham?
No, he's not. No, that's Randall Carlson. No, the other guy.
Love that guy.
Yeah, great. He's really good. No, this other guy has to do with geology. I might remember his name, but he was saying that the patterns on the Sphinx, there's water decay on the Sphinx. Like the way the rocks are shaped is like what water does to rocks.
Right.
Obviously, there's no water in Egypt currently.
Right.
So his theory is basically that like the Sphinx is way older than the Egyptians. Like when the Egyptians got there, the Sphinx was already there.
Oh.
And they think it might have looked different, because some of it's eroded. Obviously, It's been a long time. They were saying that because it's like a flat face. They think I think they think it might have had like a nose or some. There were differences to it.
Huh. Okay.
So having said that, I thought we'd go through some of the ruins and maps that possibly show Atlantis.
Okay.
So, first off, apparently in 1973, there was a scientific expedition that found Atlantis at the bottom of the ocean. It was reported in the United Press International and major newspapers in the United States.
Okay.
So it was stated by a woman named Maxine Asher that this is probably the greatest discovery in world history. The article said Maxine Asher said that scuba divers found data to prove the existence of the super civilization which legend says sank beneath the seas thousands of years ago. The divers had found evidence of roads and large columns, some with concentric spiral motifs, in the exact place described by the Greek philosopher Plato. The group of some 70 scientists, teachers, and adventurers was endorsed by Pepperdine University in LA. So then it goes into some ruins here. Okay, so first off, this city on the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Spain was found by Dr. Maxine Asher's expedition in 73, which I just mentioned. Asher was interviewed, and evidence was witnessed by Steve Omar, director of the Mind International Research Agency in Maui. That I've never heard of. I've never heard of that, which is kind of crazy. Second one, there was a pyramid that was explored by Dr. Ray Brown on the seafloor of the Bahamas in 1970. Brown was accompanied by 4 divers who also found roads, domes, rectangular buildings, unidentified metallic instruments, and a statue holding a mysterious crystal containing miniature pyramids. The metal devices and crystals were taken to Florida for analysis at a university there. What was discovered was that the crystal amplified energy that passed through it.
Wow.
And so there's some theories that Atlantis was powered by these crystals that did precisely what they're saying it did. I know we've talked about underwater archaeology before.
Yeah.
But that is one of the specialties that blows my mind.
Yeah, I agree.
One, because I hate being underwater, but also partnered with the fact that you're like finding shit. Yeah. This is one I think people will be familiar with. Ruins of roads and buildings found off Bimini Island in the 60s. Bimini Road is what that's referred to. And these were photographed and then published works of Manson, Valentine, Stephen Forsberg, co-founder of the Lahaina Times newspaper, dove into these ruins in 1982 to witness them. Similar ruins were also photographed off Cape Sal in the Bahamas. These ruins are of the same construction as the oldest city ever found on land, according to archaeologists in Tiwanaku, Bolivia, where a calendar was uncovered that shows the exact position of the stars and planets 27,000 years ago. This is more than 20,000 years before the oldest civilization in school history books.
Dang. Yeah, I looked up the K-Sal.
Yeah. Anything?
No, I mean, it's pretty.
Well, I mean, it says these were underwater.
Yeah, I didn't know if anything would come up.
Yeah. The next one, similar underwater ruins found off Morocco and photographed 50 to 60 feet underwater. So again, I guess like pillars and That's a tough one because Morocco is is close to the Mediterranean, and there were a lot of shipwrecks in the Mediterranean, so I don't know.
Right.
The next one, Dr. David Zink found in 1957 off the coast of Bahamas a stylized marble head building block cast in a mold and a construction piece drilled by a bit, as well as a stone column that he reported radiated energy. So this goes back to that weird crystal idea.
Yeah.
The next one, a ruined harbor-like complex discovered on the seafloor of Bimini, again, by a Captain John Alexander.
Like a whole harbor.
Sounds like, yeah.
Dang.
That used to be above water. The next one, the deep-sea diving submarine Illuminaut discovered a well-preserved paved road at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean made of blacktop magnesium oxide running along the seafloor from Florida to South Carolina.
Blacktop, magnesium oxide.
Yeah, see what that looks like.
Got a fire pit made of it.
Nice. Is it like shiny or?
No, it just looks like. I mean, I guess it means they blacktopped it, but it's just
okay.
normal magnesium. It's just like a stone,
Okay, gotcha.
like you would see like a chimney made out of. Or
Yeah.
something.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I mean the only one I'm familiar with on here is the Bimini Road, which I've seen pictures of, and it's definitely interesting. I don't really know anything that explains it.
Yeah.
There's also these weird islands in India that look like a road, but they're underwater.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a connection, and apparently there's in some of the ancient Hindu texts there's like a reference to the location where these islands are. This next one, a huge 11-room pyramid found 10,000 feet underwater in the mid-Atlantic Ocean with huge crystals on top.
Well, that's terrifying, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's painting a picture of, like, a civilization that lived across the Atlantic. From, like, sounds like from the Caribbean, like, kind of all the way over. All the way over to the Mediterranean. Apparently there's mysterious dome structures reportedly seen in clear water by pilots in the Straits of Florida.
Oh, wow.
This next one here, Soviet expeditions to the Atlantic Ampere Seamount resulted in photographs of ruins destroyed by lava. And apparently the Aztecs and the Mayans wrote that Atlan was destroyed.
Atlantis.
So in the Mayan language, Atlan, they have stories of it being destroyed. And
Okay.
people theorize that meant Atlantis.
Oh.
They just condensed the word. This
Okay.
discovery was in the New York Times in 1978 on May 21st. The photos were developed by the Academy's some Russian guy. Not going to try that name. And reported by the Deputy Director of the Soviet Academy of Sciences Institute of Oceanography, who also reported ruins found off Cadiz, Spain, in the same area as this Maxine Asher's previous discovery. So that's weird coincidence. Again, in the similar area of the Canary Islands, there was mysterious ruins with strange symbols on them found in 81. There were foundations of a 100 by 75 foot structure photographed on the sea bottom off Andros Island. A sunken city about 400 miles off Portugal was found by the Soviet expedition with buildings made of extremely strong concrete and plastics, which is interesting. Haven't heard plastics before. The remains of streets suggest the use of monorails for transportation. They were sophisticated.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple more here. Heinrich Schliemann, who was the man who found and excavated Troy, reportedly left a written account of his discovery of a bronze vase with a metal unknown to scientists who examined it in the famous Priam treasure. Inside it, glyphs in Phoenician stating that it was from King Kronos of Atlantis.
All right.
Identical pottery was found in Bolivia as well.
Dude.
That's a pretty good one.
That is a good one.
That's pretty good one. And I just of note, this Heinrich Schliemann, he found and excavated Troy, and people thought Troy... Yep. Before he discovered it, people thought Troy was a myth.
Yep.
So, just context there. That guy actually found something that people thought was a myth. Now, granted, it wasn't underwater.
Right.
Which makes
Different
it a little
beast
easier.
now.
Yeah, a little easier, but yes.
That is just wild to me that it just encompassed all of that.
I know.
The Atlantic all the way over.
To Spain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then even, stuff ended up in Bolivia, which is in the middle of a landmass.
I know, right? Well, the Phoenicians were expert seafaring culture.
Yeah.
They developed a lot of ships back then that.
But okay, isn't it crazy to think that in our minds when we hear these stories, we're thinking that these people are less competent than us. And we're like, how did they do that?
I mean, the majority of people do think that.
They do just because, that's what you've been, told,
that's
or
what
that's
they
just
teach
how
you in
you
school.
think.
Yeah.
But you're like, no, they were, legit.
Yeah.
If you believe what
Yeah.
some of the evidence points to,
Exactly.
they were, the Phoenicians could sail just as good as we can probably now.
Yeah.
It's just, you don't think about it.
Yeah.
Because it seems impossible in our heads because we're
does.
thinking in a certain way, but it's no.
Yeah.
They were very intelligent.
They were craftsmen. I mean, people back then, they didn't have cell phones.
Right.
I mean, when you didn't wake up in the morning and scroll through Instagram. You woke up and
built a boat.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah. I mean, if you were raised in a certain part of society, you were a craftsman, or you were you were a scribe, whatever the occupation was.
Yep.
I'm generalizing there. Obviously, different cultures were different in certain ways, but yeah.
They were they spent a lot of time
Exactly.
dedicated to these things.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, to close it out, or at least that part, Plato and others wrote that Atlantis was a huge continent like Africa, stretching across the Atlantic. The Aztecs, the Mayans, the Incas, and other Indian tribes told explorers of the sunken Atlan in the Atlantic and the sunken Mu, which is Lemuria, which is a whole other subject, that was in the Pacific.
Wow.
And in the Pacific, there are ruins of an ancient city were explored on the ocean floor off Ponape Island. Another was found underwater 30 miles off Easter Island. A ruined road on Karatonga Island goes into the ocean, runs underwater for many miles, and comes out of the ocean floor on another island, apparently.
Oh my gosh.
It says Professor Menzies from Duke University photographed a ruined civilization on the sea bottom between Peru and Tahiti, with unknown hieroglyphs on a column. So yeah, there's needless to say, there are endless possibilities of what could have been underwater. So
that is just so weird to think about.
It is because like you said, you don't learn any of this until like, I mean, at least for me, it was only until like I graduated college.
I was thinking about like how skewed our timeline of like history is, just because of like what you've been told is important in history, like the big things, like Christopher Columbus, and then like
Yeah, I know. I love how that's the first.
it is,
That's like the first discovery.
and you're like, and like you really thought at one point like he was the one who like discovered the world we live in now, which is just not the case, and it's just so crazy. And then you think about like when I go to church and like hear them talk about historical context, I'm like, wait, that was then? Like
Yeah.
you're just so skewed.
Yeah.
And like your timeline, it's just crazy. You really have to like think about it.
Yeah, you're right. You're not taught a good timeline. There's a lot of confusion and just like random
Events.
Yeah.
And you're like, that should not be the like this well, I don't even know. Like that should not be the event I base the rest of the timeline off of.
Columbus.
Yeah. Like
Yeah, I agree. It's crazy. I don't know how that. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, then you get into like the Old Testament history, and even then, there's no time frame for when any of that happened.
There isn't.
It's you go from Genesis to like, oh, there's a king, and you're like, hold on.
So in your head, you
Yeah.
think that was a fairly short amount of time.
Yeah,
Like
when
in
it
the
was
grand-
thousands of years.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, Genesis is. I mean, you can debate how long Genesis. Genesis is obviously the creation of the earth, which could have been God knows how long.
Yeah.
Literally. But then you get into like the creation story, and you have the creation of humans, like Adam and Eve, and then you get into like, I mean, there's lists and lists of people.
Yeah.
And then
And like lineages and
lineages that aren't even mentioned. Like if you go through, I think it's like the second half of Genesis, it is just like lists of names that have no mention in modern society.
Yep.
Is even in even Catholic and Christian circles, like no one talks about them because there's no reference for any of it.
Right.
And then you finally get to like Moses and Abraham and like Cain and Abel and all, and then you're like, okay. But then you got to ask yourself, why is that? Like,
Yeah.
why is that the starting point?
Right. Yep.
So, I don't know.
It's a mind fuck for sure.
Really disjointed.
Yeah.
But I guess it's just the modern society we live in.
Yeah.
Things have just gotten lost in translation.
Yep.
So, obviously lots of possible ruins of Atlantis, but there's also some mentions of Atlantis in like ancient writings, similar to what I just talked about with Plato. So, Plato wrote a detailed account of Atlantis. There are ancient writings from the Aztecs and Mayans. The Dresden Codex, apparently the Popol Vuh. I don't know this one. Codex Cortesanius. The Troano manuscript. Not sure what that one is either. And they talked about the destruction of Atlantis and Lemuria. Yeah, I'm not familiar with those two, but another one is the Aurora Linda book from Holland, and this is, I've never heard this one. This is said to be one of the oldest books ever found.
Actually?
Yeah, ever found.
Okay.
Might be an exaggeration. Not sure.
I mean, probably not.
So, yeah, it says it's not been proven or disproven, the authenticity of it. It says the most parts of the book are based on ancient events regarding the lowlands of Europe. There are many. It says there are many reasons to believe that the Oera Linda book is one of the most important books about European history from about 3000 BC to about 500 BC. So,
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty far back.
What is Frisian? It says that's what it was written in. Old.
Very old Frisian. I don't know what I don't know
Okay.
what Frisian is. Yeah. Some other examples. The Greek cantor reported visiting Egypt where they saw a marble column carved with hieroglyphics about Atlantis. So again, this is saying that the Egyptians were talking about Atlantis. So they had some older knowledge about Atlantis.
Okay.
Greek historian Ammianus Marcellinus wrote about the destruction of Atlantis. Proculus visited the islands off Africa, which would be the Canaries or the Azores, where the natives told him of the destruction of Atlantis around 450 AD. Oh, I'm sorry. He visited this around 450 AD, and the destruction, they said, was long before that.
Okay.
Plutarch wrote about the lost continent in his book Lives, or Lives. Herodotus, regarded by some as the greatest historian of the ancients, wrote about the mysterious island civilization in the Atlantic and a city on it located in the region of Maxine Asher's expedition that found those ruins. The Greek historian Timagenes wrote of the war between Atlantis and Europe and said tribes in ancient France said that was their original home. So tribes in France said that Atlantis was their original home.
That they got, like, moved?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
It says there's a note here that said
About the cave
yeah, there's some
paintings?
cave painting.
Clear in France show people wearing 20th century clothing. Mm-hmm. One painting led to an underground pyramid complex, and a historic archaeologist dated them at 15,000 BC.
Wow.
We're getting somewhere.
We're getting deep there, deep back. Some of these are not perfect. Theo Pompus wrote of the huge size of Atlantis and its cities of Machium and Eusebius, and a golden age free of disaster and manual labor. I'm sorry, free of disease and manual labor. That sounds nice.
It does.
Yeah. No manual labor.
Yeah.
Yeah, no trying to get birds out of my ceiling.
Right.
That sounds nice. Wonder how they would have gotten rid of birds.
Maybe like.
Could they just like speak to them? Like
Yeah, I was gonna
had some
say, like-
telepathic ability.
Or like magic.
Yeah.
Or spells or something.
You just walk up to the hole and just like talk a spell into the area, and then they all just come out.
Yep. Like you're Snow White or something.
Yeah. You just sing. You just. Do you remember in the first Shrek where Princess Fiona sings to the bird and it tries to match her tone and then it explodes?
Oh. I do.
Yeah.
I do.
That's what I'm
Forgot
picturing.
about that.
Yeah. That's what I'm picturing. That's how the Atlanteans.
That's how they did it.
Yeah, that's how they did it.
That's very funny. One of our favorite topics. I don't know if we talk about it enough, but giants.
Yes.
It's real.
It is
Giants are real.
What makes you say that?
Well, this article is saying it.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, at the bottom it's talking about that there's like mention of like titans, and they were like 8 to 12 foot humanoid things.
Yeah, well, I think me and Kyle, it talks about the Spanish conquistadors. Me and Kyle talked about that when the conquistadors and others were like going into South America. Apparently, they were just like really huge people. Yeah,
Like live people.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I mean, to go down a rabbit hole real fast, I was listening to something about the Tomb of Gilgamesh. I think I sent you this.
I think so.
There was this weird thing of someone had pulled up the published list of stuff that was on Hillary Clinton's email server.
Oh yeah.
And there was this bit that was it said like looking for information regarding Gilgamesh and the Nephilim, and people were like, "Oh my God, Hillary Clinton is like involved in covering up the existence of giants or whatever." Turns out that was like a freedom of information request.
Oh.
Yeah, so big letdown there. But there's still people who believe that like the Nephilim from the Bible are giants. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, it would make sense. Not true. That's the thing we would be doubting. In this case.
Yeah. Well, there's that documentary Holocaust of Giants. Did you ever watch that? It was on.
No.
It was. It wasn't. I don't think it was on any streaming service. It was on Vimeo, I think.
Oh. No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's a good one. It talks about Sicily. Is it Sicily? Yeah, I think it's or maybe one of those. Maybe not Sicily, but it's one of those islands off the coast of Italy. There's just like these really, really large graves, and I think the Catholic Church has helped cover up the existence of giants.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah. Who knows? What are your thoughts on Atlantis based on those? A lot of
Definitely
those accounts.
am on board. I think that. Yeah, I mean, just because it's underwater now, like
Yeah.
when the land was together, like I don't know.
I mean, I think Hancock says, Graham Hancock, that is, says that the Younger Dryas was like 12,000 years ago.
Yeah, 11.
Yeah, so I mean, that time frame kind of adds up. I mean, like, if you think the Egyptians, I think the Egyptian civilization was like 3,000 BC was like the beginning. I mean, like, if they had like stories passed down,
Right.
I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
It could make sense. Could make sense.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. That's just like that's so like again just so hard to think about.
It's pure speculation. You know, obviously there are ruins, but you can only prove up to a certain
So
point.
much.
Yeah, you can only prove up to a certain point. That's the tough part.
Yeah.
So.
I was reading the last sentence. And I was talking about this yesterday with someone, how you would hope there's pyramids under the ice,
Oh yeah,
which could also be a whole different thing.
that could be a lot different.
Yeah, this sentence was saying that Nordic Scandinavians spoke of a vanished continent in the North Atlantic. And They say it's stretched into what's now the northern polar ice cap, where it's buried miles underneath ice. So,
Just gotta wait, I guess.
Yep. Maybe one day.
Oh, I don't know. I'm skeptical about that.
Yeah.
About the ice caps.
I am too.
I don't know. Like, I've seen videos of giant pieces of them breaking off, and it is pretty insane.
It is insane.
But, like, there's still, like, miles and miles of ice left.
Yeah, and people are like, oh, if we don't stop it, and, like, I'm like, listen, you're going to be dead and gone before this shit floods the earth. Like, unless God or someone is just like, I'm over it, and, like, just, like, breaks the ice immediately or something, like, or something hits us, like, it's not gonna.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you seen, like, how much is under the water? You're just like, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Just, like, I guess, I don't know, use paper straws, whatever.
I mean, that's clearly the answer.
The answer, yeah.
Yeah. That's clearly the answer.
Yeah.
Well, good. I don't think I have anything else. I think that's about it.
Yeah. I would love to go back to Hawaii and look at some of these caves and
I would
stuff.
really like to go to Hawaii. Well, I am going on a cruise in the Bahamas in October. So
He'll report back.
I will report back. Hopefully, all is good.
I did not know that he was doing that, so.
Really?
Until now. No, I didn't.
The Disney cruise?
No, I don't think I knew that.
Oh, you didn't know that? Damn. Yeah. In October, I'm going on a Disney cruise. First
Wow.
cruise. First cruise ever.
So is it just a Disney cruise?
It's actually pretty cool. It's like a Disney Halloween because it's like right for Halloween.
Okay.
So it'd be like Halloween themed.
The whole, like.
Not the whole thing, but there's like Halloween parties and
Nice.
stuff like that. Yeah, you get like trick or treat. So
That actually sounds
that sounds lit,
so
right?
lit.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Oh, gosh.
I know. So that'll be fun.
Oh, it'll be so warm.
Yeah, it will. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that'll be fun. You'll have to.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I would love to just see it in person. I mean,
Again, I'm not a fan of water, but I've been told that when you're on the ship, it's like you're not.
yeah.
And you sail at night as well. I believe
Right.
yeah.
I kind of like that. Like,
Yeah.
I like the style of a cruise. I just honestly think I would be too stressed out about
Yeah,
it. Because the water, like, I think I'm, like, kind of scared of it.
I mean, I hate lakes.
Yeah.
I hate lakes, but at the same time, like when you're on a boat on the lake, you're right next to the water.
Yeah.
I'm not comparing oceans to lakes, but on a big cruise ship, it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah. That is exciting. I am jealous about the Bahamas. And you see places like that, I feel like, and you're like, oh, wow. Like, just imagine, to our points, like, what this looked like. Because it's so, like, it seems, like, mythical, or
Yeah,
anyway, because it's,
yeah.
like, so tropical, and,
Yeah.
like, Hawaii is so massive.
Yeah.
Like, the volcanoes and the mountains, and you're just like, I don't even feel like you're in real life. Especially if you grew up in the continental United States.
oh,
Like,
exactly.
I mean, if you've seen, like, the Rockies and stuff. But it's just different because it's, like, so tropical. It's so different.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Pacific is a beast. It's so big.
I think it's the closest I ever came to dying. God bless. I was in the water, and it's just...
It's different.
Yep. It is crazy. So, yeah, I do prefer to stay, on the Florida side of it. But...
Yeah, there's a point in the Pacific Ocean called Point Nemo. Have you heard of this?
No.
It's the most remote place on Earth.
I'm looking
It's
it
more
up.
than 1,000 miles from civilization in all directions. Yeah. It's so far
Holy
away
moly.
from everything. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm looking at, like, a screenshot of, like the Apple Maps.
Yeah. No, you can't see anything. It's all blue. It's nuts. But, I mean, again...
It's just like a rock.
Yeah.
Like, that is nuts.
It's wild. I mean, yeah, you can't. I don't even think you can get there. I mean, you can, but like again,
How would you get
I don't know how you get anywhere.
This isolated point serves as a cemetery for our space debris. Okay. It is the oceanic pole of inaccessibility. The place in the ocean that is furthest from emerged land.
Yeah,
the closest
spaceship
people are
graveyard.
in the space station.
Yeah. Isn't that nuts?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Nemo means no one.
Yep.
I recently found that out. I
That's
don't know if that's
wild.
like sad, but I just
Captain
found that
Nemo,
out.
Yeah. Also Nemo.
Nemo, the movie.
Yeah. No one.
Because he didn't have anyone really.
Yeah. He didn't have anyone until he found. Yeah.
So wild. Well,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Good note to end on though. That's a fun fact.
Go share that.
Yeah, go share it. Spread the news. Okay, well, you all can find us on Facebook at World We Live In Podcast. You can also listen on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Spotify, World We Live In Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Rate and review. And I think that's about it.
Yep.
Twitter, World We Live Pod. Although I'm not on Twitter a lot, admittedly.
Yeah, I'm not really either. Only when I'm on the toilet.
It's not classic.
It does. I'm like, this is a job for Twitter
Yeah, it is.
today.
Get you through it. Thank you all for listening, and we will catch you next time. We will catch you next time.
He's struggling. Oh, peace.
Peace.